everyone, it's great to see you. Today I'm going to be dealing with one of those problem areas in the garden or the house. One of the things that I sort of want to disguise and cover, and it happens to be this drainage pipe here. So this part of the house has a flat roof, and up on the flat roof it has drains. They connect to this pipe here, goes into the ground, out quite a ways, and then it empties, which is great. It seems to work really well. This is not the most beautiful piece of the house, however. So I looked online quite a lot and ended up finding an 8-foot tall trellis, an obelisk that is tall and thin. It's about a foot wide square that will go really nicely here and give some height. Now, the company was wonderful. They sent me the directions of how to put it together so I could look at those, and looking at them, I was pretty sure, I can't say I was definitely sure, pretty sure that it would be possible to actually build it around this pipe. And then I could run some clematis vines up it and really disguise this piece here. So we're going to try, Dan's going to help me out here, we're going to try to actually build the trellis around here so it will be thoroughly disguised. I also think it'll be a great way, it really anchors nicely into the ground, but like it'll be super anchored because it can't go anywhere if it's built around the pipe. This is going to give a great element of height and depth to the garden here too. So I just think this is a good move garden-wise. So let's see if I'm right and we can actually build this around our pipe. In case you're interested, I ordered this obelisk from H. Potter online. H. Potter is not a sponsor. I just happened to be looking through. I was looking for the tallest obelisk that I could find, and they had it. They had a lot of copper items, stainless steel. This item is iron. They're handmade, and a lot of them were unique. So it was really interesting to see what they had to offer. We were really pleased with how this obelisk was both shipped to us and ended up coming together. When we unpacked the pieces, they were each individually wrapped in what looked like a real heavyweight saran wrap. Now, had I been thinking, it would have been really much more comfortable to go inside, sit in the living room, unwrap each piece. It was quite a job getting them unwrapped. However, they all came in beautiful condition. Nothing was scratched. So the people who sent these pieces obviously knew what they were doing. It just was a lot of work to get them all set to go. Once we started to assemble the obelisk, we realized that it was going to be more of a job to work around the pipe here. Ideally, we could have just gone inside, put it together, laying on its side. Then I think we would have had no trouble at all. Having to assemble the obelisk in the garden around the pipe did add an extra element of difficulty. I didn't have quite the foresight that I needed to. Dan was really good about seeing how this was going to work. But once we got the initial part put up, we realized that one of the crossbars was going to go through the pipe where it entered the house. So we had to dig down a little bit so that there was space for the pipe to fit in between two of those crossbars. It ended up working out. It just took a lot more maneuvering than it would have if we could have just set this up inside and not been working around something. You might notice that in many of my recordings, I pause before I say the word obelisk. And the truth is, that's because for the longest time I said it incorrectly. I said obelisk. And it was only after I started to record that Dan pointed out I was saying it incorrectly. So now I've been training myself to pronounce this the right way, but I do often pause just to make sure that it's going to come out right. When you go on the website of where I ordered this obelisk, they describe the obelisk as a hefty, often imposing, aesthetically arresting structure that elevates your oasis with its commanding presence. And I just love that description. That's really what I'm looking for here, something to add height and structure to the garden and to disguise this pipe. The past couple weeks, I've been looking for clematis online to see what I might want to use to try to hide the pipe here. I ended up ordering one. I'll plant it once we finish here. It's called a Tekla clematis, and it's a really beautiful pink. I have to say, I just chose it because the blossoms are so gorgeous in the picture with the hot pink, and they're about 6 inches big. That's the look that I want to go for. I've been thinking, however, that I might have to use a climbing rose also to sort of cover this area in. I'm really not sure. If any of you have really good success, I would want a pink climbing rose. And this obelisk is just about 8 feet tall, 101 inches. So if you have a climbing rose that's just done great for you, I'm zone 6B, that you think would be really good on here, if you could let me know, that would be amazing. There's also the possibility that I could use a mandevilla here too, at least those first couple years until the clematis sort of fills in. I do love how mandevilla look, and I have pretty good luck with them. So that might be another option. It's just going to be so pretty though once it's covered with flowers. Hello again. We are back for day 2 to work on our obelisk. And Dan is now going to be putting the very top together. It got kind of dark last night. We were tired. We needed a break. So now we're back to finish the job. On day 2, we just had the top of the obelisk to fit together. This ended up being quite a challenge, but Dan, by brute strength here, wrangled it together and added in the last bolts. Then we had to finish straightening it up because we had dug out the bottom to make sure that we could get it around the pipe. We had a little trouble getting it all nice and level. And I think as it settles a bit, we might have to adjust this. It did come with 12-inch stakes that went through the bottom pieces. They had like little tabs that stuck out with holes in them, and you'd put in these stakes, and that worked really, really well. I don't feel like the obelisk is going to be going anywhere here. It might sink on one side where we dug it out a little bit, and we might need to prop that up, but we'll keep an eye on it over time. So you can see in the video, I keep stepping back to looking at it to see if it's straight or not, and we keep straightening it. But really, it just came out beautifully. For the past couple weeks, I've been looking at potential clematis that might be good to grow up the obelisk. And I ended up ordering one. It is here and I'm going to plant it. It's a bright pink Tekla. I've never had this kind of clematis, but it really is the color and the look that I'm going for. I'm going to probably order 1 or 2 more clematis. I really want to make a nice thick covering on this obelisk to hide that pipe. If I find that the clematis aren't enough, I could even go with a climbing rose here. But I think I'm going to wait until spring and really determine what I think then. There's also the possibility, I do love my mandevilla vines too, of growing 1 or 2 of those up here, just at least until the clematis have time to mature a little bit. Okay, so that was a very big 2-day project. I love the trellis. This is a beautiful obelisk. It is exactly what I was looking for. I just didn't realize it was going to be such a big project. So many thanks to Dan, because he was so instrumental in getting this here positioned around the pipe, but I think it's going to do exactly what I'm hoping for it to do. That we can now grow some vines up here. Did I just tip it by touching it? Is it still straight? That's the question. I did plant 1 clematis at the bottom. This is a Tekla clematis. I've never had this one before. I'll put a picture up on the screen. It's a very bright pink. So with the off-white siding here, I want something that's really going to pop against that. So I'm thinking cranberry colored clematis, bright pink colored clematis. I'm hoping to have 3 clematis growing around here eventually. And that should really fill in nicely. So glad that the job is done here. This is totally worth it. We will enjoy it for many, many years. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next video.